ሕጂ ፕሮግራምና ክንጅምሪና እሞኒ ቅድሚ ፕሮግራምና ምጅማርና ግን ነቶም ቅድሚ ሕጂ ነዚ ከምዚ ኢልና ክንበፅሕ ሂወቶም ደሕለፉ የሕዋትናን ኣቦታትና ኣዴታትና ደቅናን ሓንቲ ደቂቕ ዝኽረ ሰማዕታት ክንገብረሎም ኢና እሞ ኩላህና ሓፍ ንበል ዶ ይቕኒየለይ اوكي عرفتي
بقر نقعد حن مصاخم سوري دي سي ميريلاند فيرجينيا زلنا كلنا دقنستيو نزي زدالنا بشمن بطعم يقنيرنا ابز من خبرحون كاب قربان مصيخم عليكم نزي مثلا نختعلو እዚ ናይ መጀመርያ ናይ ደቀንስትዮ ጉባኤ ናይ ደሌት ፍትሒ ኤርትራውያን ደቀንስትዮ ንገብረሉ መጽኢኽን ምሳና ክትዕላ ስለ ግዜ ክንዘጥፋእኽን ይቐኒየልና እዚ ሎም ንእከቦ ዘለና ከም መጋጣሚ ብናይ ከም ትፈልጦ ናይ ደሌት ፍትሒ ብዙሕ ናይ ተሳታፍነት ናይ ደቀንስትዮ ኣይነበረን ግን ኣብዚ ዝሓለፈ سلامة وسلف استجبري ببزح كساتفها مصر عناين بدحريقة بيكنيك بزحات مس كساتفها مصر عناين بأرجو بقينا يدك نستيو نراقب له نماية له حدا مدرخ نفت أرجليلنا بخم مخنيات نقولنا تين سلكن تقبلنا أبديسي كبابي أنزنا برادك نستيو عديمناين بخم أخا حدا خلت سلست أخي باجرنا نزام عتزي أخاني مدب جرنا مالتيو زين نبزي متعيد طويلا زلوا لزي مدب زكايدا تماعلنا تسرح كلنا لنا احنا سرحنا سرحنا لزي معلت زي نخترقو مع معلت كنقبرو زخاتنا يعني موني مجمريا هرمون أريام أسمرت معرض أميرة راحل يوديتوين مسانا تساتيفا نرخباي كأدنا الحجمبر نحنا تسرح تندات مع عقلنا نتن دقنستيو نعدمن ندعدمنا كاو كابناي ديسين كبابي أن إلنا زجمرنايو أسفحنا قاني نقول واتنا بكال ستيتس اللوا أمريكان كندا نخن عدم مدام سكبرنا قاني نقول لن نتن تتقرني فنزنا برا دقنستيو ندولنا كلن كمز أخي إلن حدا سبات كمان سميعين زمزع الله مو بتعمي عنيلنا مباري زي ناي حجر كنت أوعيتن ناي حزبكن سكيات ترديو كنا بزمت خنزلخن قبل بينا مسجن إكزي أبهر مسحن يخون ناي بحكي قدس علامة إمو زي أتسألنت نخل الوقت أنا كلنا متحبر كدليو مميات كدليو سلازي يقنيلنا يبلع اللخو بشم كلنا حواتي ديسين كبابي أنا
ኣብዚ ቀፂልና እዞም ቆልዑት ኣብዚ ዓዲ ዝተወለዱ ድምፅና ከነሰምዕ ይብሉ ኣለዎ እሞኒ ሕጂ ንኣይሻ ክንገድፈላ ኢና ኣይሻ ክትሓቶም እያ ማለት እዩ ኣይሻ Alicia, sorry. You guys can come.
Hi everyone. Salam and kwa batahan mista'akum. Now conference deqenistyo Eritrea. And bear with me, I'm going to try this in Arabic too. أهلا ومرحبا بكم في المؤتمر النصح الإريتري. So I was like, if I'm going to try integrating it, I should probably try it in Arabic because I'm all about being inclusive. So in English, basically what I said was, welcome everyone to the Eritrean Women's Conference of 2020, and I'm so excited to be here today. So let's just start. I'm humbled to be in front of all of you. My name is Alicia Tesfa'alim, and I'll be your moderator today for the panel. that we have here. Just to give a little context of who I am, because we wanted to make sure that we show diversity, because so oftentimes the rhetoric is that people that oppose the Eritrean regime are from one political party affiliation in terms of like where their family is from. My father was a former EPLF fighter who immigrated to the States in 1984, and my mother is an Eritrean refugee that grew up in Sudan, and she came here in 1989. I am born in Chicago, raised in Nebraska, and now I live here in DC. Today I'm representing Reclaim Eritrea. Reclaim Eritrea is a news media platform aiming to engage the masses on Eritrea and the Horn of Africa. Reclaim Eritrea addresses human rights and provides truthful news. We also engage the Eritrean diaspora on pressing Eritrean issues that impact all Eritrean lives at this moment in time. So let's get right to it. Today we'll discuss on whether or not the Eritrean diaspora has a role in advocating for change in Eritrea, because that is such issue that is quite debated on. We have 5 fabulous ladies here. The other one is coming right now, and they'll be providing their background and their insight on their thoughts regarding the Eritrean diaspora. So ladies, go ahead and please introduce your name, what city you're from, and kind of explain your parents' background and how it affiliates with the Eritrean struggle, if at all.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. My name is Deborah Michael. I'm from Seattle, Washington. Is anybody else from Seattle? So I moved here 3 years ago. As far as my parents' background, I think we a lot of us have similar stories, or our parents have similar stories. My parents met in Sudan and came to the States in the 80s. How it impacts, I think, my perspective is understanding that neither of my parents ever got to enjoy Eritrea, and neither did I, but it then sparked, it triggered me asking questions about, I think, why that is, and why I've never seen the Eritrean dream actually come into actualization. So that's why I'm here today.
Good morning, everybody. Anybody here from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut? Yes. We are holding the fort down there. My name is Andu, and I live in New York City. And my background of my parents, I guess I come from wonderful 2 Eritrean parents who made a point to have the tough conversation at our dinner table. My parents migrated to Ethiopia in the 70s, and they met there, and I was born there. And it was difficult for us living as Eritreans in Ethiopia, as most of you know that. And more importantly, it was difficult to live as Eritrean and a Protestant in Ethiopia. So that was a 2 double whammy that we had to go through as children. But my parents were very, very adamant that we learn the truth, being an Eritrean, the struggles that we've gone through as a young nation. So they would not sugarcoat it and romanticize our early struggles, even after independence. So I guess I can say I come from 2 parents that set the reality at early on for me to now be here with you guys and say Ya'akin with you people.
Well, I'm from DC. I'm sorry, my English is not fluent because I just came here from Eritrea, Thank you. My name is Susanna Barhan, and I've only been here for 6 months. know the history and the struggle, everything. And even my parents they were born and raised in the capital city, Asmara, but they haven't done much with the struggle or anything as other people, but it's my time now to present them and us, and especially the youth. So I'm here for that.
Hello everyone, my name is Zainab Abdullah. I'm a high school student from Prince George's County, Maryland. My grandparents immigrated to America in the 70s, and I was originally born in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I moved here when I was like a baby. My father is African American and my mother is Eritrean American, but I was only raised by my mother's side, so yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Nasima Abera and I'm originally from Arizona. I've been living here for 4 years. I came for graduate school and now I'm working here. My parents' background, my dad left Eritrea and came here in the 80s for school. So he his first time in America was in Philly, and he went to school there, and my mom came in 1990. And so both of my parents, were not necessarily part of the war or fighting, but a lot of my relatives were. And so a lot of the stories that they shared with me about the struggle and the fight really inspired me, and I work in journalism. So knowing that Eritrea is constantly at the top of the countries with the least press freedom, it really inspires me to do research and to tell the stories of Eritreans because most people don't know about it. And so one of my goals is to make sure that people hear the story of Eritreans. So any way that I can do that, I hope to be of service.
Thank you, ladies, for introducing yourselves. That was amazing. So the next question is, in what capacity do you, if at all, advocate for Eritreans and why?
So like I was saying, I work in journalism, and I think the most powerful way for people to be called to action is to first have knowledge, right, and education. And so we can't educate people, we can't move them until you have those stories documented. So one of the things that I've tried to do is any opportunity I can is to write about Eritreans. So I've had some stories written about the refugee crisis, about why so much of the refugee crisis focuses on people from particular countries and not African countries, right? When people think of refugees, they mostly hear about the ones that are related to wars that America is a part of, right? Because of that interest. And Eritrea is kind of just forgotten. People don't know that we have one of the biggest refugee communities, displaced people in the world. So anytime I can tell stories about that, I'm really passionate. Yeah.
Admittedly, I would say that I'm very early on in my advocacy for Eritrea. I think being here is part of my way of showing up in the discussion. Having conversations with my peers, it's important that we are, even against our own comfort, having conversations, challenging ideas, and so I think that's primarily how I show up.
Bear with me, I just was notified that I'm going to be sitting here 24 hours ago, so I have to look down to my notes. What I am doing as an advocate, my story began early on in the 2000s. I'm dating myself, it's older you guys here. When I was in college, and I was really deeply affected by the 1998 war, because my young 3 uncles joined the war, and then my first cousin actually never came home. So that was a deep path and conversation at home that is just, where is everybody? Where is? So So anyways, in college, Facebook was just starting while I was there, so social media was just the it thing to do. So I was looking to see how could I help. I was in South Carolina. There was no Eritrea near me, so talking to the folks near me about Eritrea all day, every day wasn't going to cut it. So the best thing that I thought was to use my social media to talk about Eritrea. So then I experienced the what I would call the aggressive approach from the YPFDJ and HIGDA folks. But that gave me the fire to do it even more and more and more. Now I see a lot of young people boldly talking about it. So I've transitioned from social media advocacy to really getting your hands on in the local community, organizing, mobilizing, outreach, just visiting even someone that just recently arrived, having a dinner with them, just saying, are you okay? You're going to be okay. Just continue the conversation, helping the community to come together and just heal and take it to the next step, which is taking back our country.
Is it okay if I speak in Tigrinya? ክሳብ ሕጂ እኮ ሓቂ ክዛረብ ወላ ሓንቲ ተበርከትኮ ነገር የለን ግን actually well ኣብ ሰዋ ብዙሕ ነገር ኢኻ ትመሃር ሓቂ and then when I went there ወላ ቅድሚኡ ናይ ሃገር ፍቅሪ ይሓልውካ ኣብ ሰዋ ምስ ከድኮ ግን like I made a lot of friends. Then I came back home and then actually I was one of the luckiest young people up, so I got ነጥቢ ኣምፅአ ናብ ኮሌጅ ኣትየ ኣነ ካብ ምሳይድ ነበራ ግን ነጥቢ ደየምፅኣ ነይረን so actually ናብ ውትድርና ተመዲበን ግን ይግበአ እንዲሁ ሞኻ ደቂ ኣንስትዮ ኣብዚ እዋን እዚ ክመሃሩ ድግቦም መንእሰያት ቆልዑስ ናብ ውትድርና ክተእትዎም no right so ከደ ደርጋ መብዛሕትኡ ሰብ ክኸይድ ኣይደለየን ኣብ ገዝኡኻ ተሪፉ but the government was ደቅኹም ኣምፅዎ ኣነን ወል ሓደ ሰደደ ስለ ዘይነበረ ነቦ ይኣስርዎ መጀመርታ ፀኒሖም ካነት ኣድኻ ይውስኽዋ so my friend was like no instead of you going to jail I would rather go and face the pain right so Kaidana after one thing like she went there only for a month and she died like that's not right for youth people so that's when I got triggered even though I was living there I wanted to speak but I couldn't because it would cost my life not just my life my siblings like my parents my relatives like every life matters right so I stopped I was silenced at that time but now no it's enough so that's why I'm
you know like as a teenager everyone's pretty active on social media so whenever I have the chance I always repost something you know having discussions with my friends telling everybody I know basically whenever anyone asks me where I'm from I always remember to mention what's going on back home yeah
Okay, so thank you. Those were amazing responses, by the way. Very heart-touching, and I could see the audience were definitely reacting to it. So the next question is, why do many Eritreans who condemn the acts of the Eritrean government label themselves as neutral, but not as someone who is anti-Eritrean government? And then also, adding on to that, do we need to think about rebranding ourselves so that, you know, people don't have this issue and could kind of move on to what's important?
So I think the difficulty lies in access, when you identify with your strong beliefs, being opposing beliefs, you are sacrificing something. I think everyone in this room is essentially sacrificing their ability to either identify with a larger community or, in some cases, go back home. It's difficult to take a stance knowing the repercussions. Also, because of the lack of visibility, I think it's easy to say I'm neutral. It's easy to say I don't have enough information. It's easy to say there's not enough data that supports X, Y, and Z claims. So in order to take a stance, you have to want to understand what's happening. And oftentimes I know that through exposure, I'm someone who likes to have conversations. And because I'm removed from being back home, whenever I'm with cousins who've lived back home or uncles, I love hearing stories. And so taking it in, I've lived through my parents' stories. And in the recent years, all of the stories I've heard have been just painful. You know, they're painful and they're ridden with a lot of struggle. And so that is how I think found my perspective. And so in short, the neutrality or, being complacent is due to choosing not to because, again, the lack of visibility. And in terms of rebranding, I think I always say this, if nothing else, it's a humanitarian effort. So, just shedding light on how much we love each other and how much of that is rooted in our us being Eritrean is something that will allow others to see how we are wanting to give our brothers and sisters an opportunity at life the same way that many of us have. So
anyone can say something as they please.
So I think in my humble opinion, I think I have 4 reasons why people identify themselves as politically neutral or call themselves neutral. Number 1, over the last 30 years, the psychopath has been brainwashing the community, saying that your identity, especially, I can't call him a dictator because dictators have rules. He's just a shifta and a psychopath. So he's been brainwashing our society, honestly, young to old, that our citizenship is directly correlated to the support of the government, which is insanity to me because it's not reality. We are citizens of Eritrea because it's in our blood and one of our parents is Eritrean, not because we support or oppose the government. So therefore, for these kids who grew up idolizing this man and idolizing this government, challenging and asking a real question feels like not patriotic or committing a treason. So that's one of them. So they didn't want to do that, so they'd rather go the deaf and mute route and calling themselves I'm neutral. So the second part is that they're raised by parents who have financial interest in the country. So they'd rather portray Eritrea, oh, this beautiful people, this beautiful country, which we are, which it is, but they don't want to have that tough conversation on the table. What's happening to your cousin? What's happening to your uncle? Where is your brother? Where is your uncle? They don't have that conversation. These people are interested about their house or whatever properties that they have, so they don't give that tough conversation reality. So the kids grow up in this la-la world and they don't know, they don't care. So the third part is that their daily lives are not affected by Eritrea. So their friends might be fellow diaspora Eritreans or just non-Eritreans. So they don't get to meet women like her who have just recently came to Eritrea, who don't talk that language or who don't share that struggle. So why should I care? I'm just going to talk Tigrinya every now and then, to show all my Western friends that I am from somewhere exotic. And I can get to wear the flag on May 24th and just be glamorous about it, but not really wear the actual brand of being Eritrean and Eritreanism. So their lives are not affected, so they don't really care. The last part, I think why people really think that they want to be neutral, or they call themselves neutral, is that Afwerki has really done a good job portraying anyone that challenges him as an organization out of demon worshiping, right? If we challenge the regime, then we are some Auraja people, we are some terrorists, we are some non-Christian people, whatever that is. So therefore, they are afraid to be labeled one of those things. So they are, or they remain as neutral, which is so ignorant, because if you see your neighbor getting robbed and you remain in silence, you best believe that robber is going to come the next day and rob you. But they choose that because they're just, you know, they're not being affected by it on their daily lives. So those 4 reasons, I think people really like to call that ignorant word called I am neutral, where the Eritrean situation is not a political situation, it's a human crisis. I don't know how you can be neutral about a human crisis.
كله على تنايلات تانية actually أبغى أسوي إنه بس بملوس تزاريباتها كن أبدأ أسبوع دلو من سياسي إنتهر هجى أنا مش هجى متى حكي تملي سخر يا خالله عب هاجر يدنا بركو كوت أي متى وتباهيلو أفت هاجر كم يخبر you have no idea مرة بقى دي زياس كبلوس أي خلني بأنا تهزبي نجدن سدرا بتكا هوت أي دحر خندي متى وتري خالله مرة دسبلك من قصدك كسع كندي خبره أنت يسلا تقبرو كنت حمي تخافلو لله بنات حكي he's getting money كاب دخانة هزبي نسوا عتباهيلو دوها بدلون نعيات والله سويو نعم يا حماق نقر القبر you just bring money that's it يدلي money يدلي ودينا لنا حكي so that's how he is إنه نحد سب ندحر كأو حد النجار بلد كدوا سدة لي خها نمنتي خانس خا قدام ما يقص كدر أخي أتبدحر يدلو أتنات وشتاوي أتنات كحق أنت نجار تحوي خامبر وسي كان تريا مخنياتو ندحر أسو أريخيو إسخا حما أمهان كان ندحر أريخيو أتثبتي نعخا يكونن ماني خبكا بتأخا يقربن نعخا يكونن تصبق نجارات كجبرلك يلا بقى نعو exist أي تجبرني خاصو كافت diaspora دلو سب ندحر كركب كوينو دخونا نجار he needs to manipulate كجبر مالو حنقولهم brainwash كي جبره ولا حنت نجار كجبره يكلني دخونا عين سب neutral دبل ندحر كوينو ها like بقى حدا أيقدسني خلنا بالمثالنا بقى بزعبة هجرو هزبو that's it أيقدسني كلايخا يفرحك actually بتعم يفرح هناتو كندي هزب على أده هنا دكا إرترا دلو أبو هينو دكا بإرترا دلو سدرو أبي إرترا دلو عندها أنا بزوات إتزاريبة دكا إنتاي كونيا عندها أنا بزوات إتزاريبة حوي حفتي إنتاي كونيا هناتو من قصدي إرترا إساسا فرقي actually إساس لست ساعة تزاريبة مون عايكون انداسر حفتا لا تندوف كمزي بقى يأتوانا بس ربي كوميو so اتسبقا كاب أنا خمزي له قالت نيوترال قبل يحشا thank you
yeah just to like add to what everyone was saying I think in this situation like you really can't be neutral and the people who do I do notice especially online they're using their Eritrean ethnicity as a crutch to seem exotic or cool, you know, to their friends or whatever, but really, you know, when the facts are being presented to you, how can you not speak against the crimes being committed against our people? And yeah, it's a humanitarian crisis, and you know, if we don't all take a stand, then there's not going to be any action, there's not going to be any change, and yeah.
I think everyone kind of said what I was going to say, so I just again want to emphasize that you cannot be neutral in a situation about injustice. You can't, you know? It's not you being generous, it's not you being open-minded. You have chosen a side by being neutral in a humanitarian crisis. You've picked a side. And so I think hopefully conversations like this will be more inviting and encouraging for diaspora youth who maybe are just scared. They don't know what to say, they don't know what to think. And it's obviously a process. We have a lot to learn. Like, I've never been to Eritrea, so you know, you think like, well, I've never been there, maybe I just don't know where to start. But hopefully if we have more open conversations, you can see that there's a process you can learn, and there are people who will help guide you to how to advocate for justice.
Thank you, ladies. What I'm hearing a whole lot of is like, one must take a side, because essentially you are making a statement by saying that you're neutral. And I'm also hearing that there's just not a lot of visibility, that we need to show up in spaces, we need to use marketing strategies to perhaps put ourselves in a platform to let people know that we do exist, that there are communities out here trying to advocate for that change. So thank you for those remarks. The next question is, why aren't the Eritrean diaspora as involved in this Eritrean political crisis?
I was going to say, for some of us, we maybe didn't grow up around Eritreans, so I'm from Arizona, so there's not a lot of us there. So if you don't, first of all, see your community, it's very difficult to get involved. And then I think after that, we aren't as organized, I think, in like a central group of like who's going to tell us what to do, what activities are there. If you can't find that, it's kind of hard to start, like you don't know where to go. And so I think one of the issues is we're all scattered, and that's just the fact of the diaspora, right? People are all over the place. So you don't meet people, you don't know where to go. And I think that makes it difficult for people to know, like, okay, if I care, I don't know what to do next.
I think also another issue is a lot of the Eritrean diaspora, like especially among the youth, as that's what I'm more familiar with. I think they see this as more as the older generation's issue, and we shouldn't be the ones fixing it, but really, they've sacrificed everything to bring us here and give us the best life that we can. And so I think it should be up to us to, I don't really know what to say, I'm sorry.
I think the real reason is because their lives are not being affected by it on day to day. And the reason for that, many reasons. Number one, maybe they may not necessarily live among many other diaspora. So it's not their daily thoughts of being what's happening in Eritrea. I was one of those until I came home one day and my mother has turned my bedroom into a motel and there's a whole bunch of Eritreans in our house. So then I started hearing what's happening to these people, then a conversation of where are your uncles, where are your cousins, where your dad, where's your mom? So when you have that tough conversation, I know most of us walked through a really difficult path, and I can pretty much confidently say 90% of us probably were refugees at one point. So we don't want to be reliving this, so we just keep it quiet at home and we focus only about our culture and just our identity and not really sitting down talking to our kids. So these kids grow up not really knowing what's happening into our country. So when as an adult, how could they start subscribing to what's happening daily in Eritrea? And we have now two communities, which is the diaspora that's been here for a while, that has completely alienated out itself from the new arriving who's struggling and isolated by itself. So when there's no interaction, the diaspora just kind of feels like, you know what, May 24th is the time to rep. June 20th is just time to get together and have a meal Other than that, there's no interest because we sheltered them and their daily lives are not affected.
So I think we answered this question before. In short, I agree with everyone in that until you're directly affected, it's hard for you to feel a need to participate or speak up.
Thank you for that. So what role, or do we play a role, the Eritrean diaspora, in advocating for the oppressed in Eritrea?
I think we absolutely should play a role and can play the most vital role in using our platforms. I'm not huge on social media, but I know that using your platforms to discuss and share information and make up for those spaces where, again, there isn't information readily available to us. A lot of the diaspora, or a lot of people use that as an excuse to not say anything or do anything, but it is our responsibility as especially individuals who know the journey and the struggle that our parents endured, and know what the struggles, you know, all of my cousins back home are now just about gone. Asking those questions, having those conversations with them, hearing people's stories, that is important, and that is how you continue on a legacy. That's how you know, keep our culture, our tradition, our history alive, is by, you know, we have to take the responsibility at one point. Our parents are not going to be here forever. So I think we have the responsibility of continuing on in learning and speaking and having discussions and educating and changing spaces.
I agree. We definitely have a responsibility. I think one of the tough things is that, like, our parents came here and they struggled and they want us to just do well. But then, you know, if we express interest, like when I was in college, I remember I was telling my dad I was going to write a paper about Eritrea, and he's like, "Why? What are you going to do with that? How's that going to help you with the job?" And he didn't understand that curiosity for me was important, because we don't have a lot of research written about Eritrea, right? A lot of people don't know about it. So I felt like something that I could do that I understood was like, oh, I'm going to research, I'm going to write a paper, I'm going to try and present this. You know, because we have those skills. A lot of people, maybe they don't have the language skills, English. Maybe they don't have the technology, the communication, but a lot of us have that who grew up here. So that's something that we can offer, and then we can take, you know, our parents' generations, you know, experiences and use that and work together. And so even if you want to be a doctor, an engineer, whatever you want to do, there's some way you can still add some activism to your work, right? You don't have to be a full-time activist. That's maybe not what everyone can do. It's a very tough life, but it doesn't matter what career you have, you should not ignore and think, well, I just need to focus on money, or I just need to focus on taking care of my family, right? That was our parents' struggle, and a lot of us usually are not in that same situation. So if you have that ability and that time, it could be a couple hours each week, right? Like anything you can do, whether it's posting an article, whether it's showing up to an event, whether it's fundraising, like we have those skills in that time, and we use it for so many things, right? We have so many other things we do, and somehow we don't have time to contribute. And I just don't believe that that's the reality. So anything you can do, it can just be something small. Like I just really, really urge you to do that, because we need that help. Like our families need that help. Our parents need that help. They are tired. They don't want to be the ones doing everything. So anything we can do, like really, really just take that time, because you have power.
Thank you for that. I got to quickly ask these last questions. And not everyone has to answer. But in what ways do you think that we can have the neutral or Higdaf Eritreans join our cause in creating this front to save our Eritrean people from virtual extinction?
I guess I have the mic, so this is the year 2020. If someone identifies themselves as a full Higdaf supporter, You can't convince the devil to not be a devil. Forget them. They're the 1%. I cannot possibly waste my energy on a person who pretends to be asleep. You're never going to wake them up. So let's move on. Let us invite our brothers who are afraid, who are taking the neutral stand, and who are only having this conversation at their kitchen table. They are the people we need to work together. How do we engage them? Have a conversation. Go see them. Start the tough conversation with love, compassion, not just condemning. Yes, they could be frustrating. Yes, they can be dragging their feet, but compassion can lead anyone to the right path. Don't waste your time with the heck deaf people. Number 2, invite them for an outreach, right? Anybody has a soft heart to do the outreach. So let's go visit those people who recently arrived. They need support. Those who are in detention center currently in our local states, in Canada, and wherever they are at, let's reach out to them. So anything that requires outreach, it's a humanitarian thing, so they'll reach. That's another aspect of it. And you can also invite them for a professional network. I know a lot of the diasporas are professionally motivated and money motivated. So if you join a professional network, I know there's the Eritrean Law Society, I know there's the medical profession joining, putting an organization together, or whatever it is. It could be the local women's gathering or a coffee session or a brunch. Invite them to the table, have that conversation. Don't waste your time with hip deaf people. They'll come when they get there.
She's right. ኣብ ኤርትራ ከለኹ Philippos Mishake, everybody knows him. Well, we had a fight with his daughter because even though ኣብ ኤርትራ ከላ ናይ ኤርትራ situation እናፈለጠቶስ no ከምዚ የለን. Come on, like ካልእ እሞ ይግደፍዎ ካልእ እሞ ይትረፍ. ካብ ኣነ ዓዲ ቀይሕ ኮሌጅ እንዴት ተማሂረ ኮሌጅ ስነ ማሕበራዊ ጥበባት ናይ ኢኮኖሚክስ ቢዝነስ ማለት እዩ ካብ ዓዲ ቀይሕ ንኣስመራ ንኽንኣቱ ክልተ ለይቲ ንሓድር ነርና ኣብ እንዳባስ ሚኒባስ ንእሽተይ መፅያ ንክትወስደናስ በቃ ሙሉ መዓልቲ ውዒልካ ሙሉ ለይቲ ትሓድር ነዚ ግን ንሳ እንታይ ገራቶ ዲናይ ገራቶ because በኣውቲስታ ድንቀሳቐስ ሰብ እንታይ ክፈልጥ ይኽእል ሓቂ so just ኣይኮነን ከምዚ just ሓንሳእ ከምዚ ፈሊጡ ደፅቅጥ ዘሎ ሰብሲ ወላ ሓንቲ ክትገብሮ ትኽእለን ኢኻ ሓቂ so ንሕና ካብ ነቲ ፈሊጡ ደፅቅጥ ዘሎ ንብሎም ብሓይሊ ነተስኦ ነቲ እሞ ፍርቅ ደሎ ወላ እናፈለጠ ክንሱ ትፈርሕ ደሎ እናፈለጠ ክንሱ ግን ብዙሕ ከይተገደሰ ድሓልፍ ደሎ ሰብ let's bring ከምዚ facts truths እቲ ደሎ ሓቂ እንድሕር ተዛሪብና እቶም ዓበይቲ ካብ ቀደም ክሳብ ሕጂ ትዛረቡለኹም ንኣሽቱ ግን ወላ ብዙሕ ኢንፎርሜሽን ይሃለዎም ግን ሓደ ክልተስ ኣለዎም ሓቂ ነቲ ሓደ ክልተ ደለዎም ግን እንድሕር መሊእናዮ 10 እንድሕር ኣብፅሕናዮ ደይልወጥ ሰብ የለን ኢንፎርሜሽን more facts more truths እንድሕር ኣምፂኻሉ ኣብ ሓደ ጣውላ ንምንታይ ደይቀየር ሰብ ንምንታይ እቲ ናቱ point of view or ናቱ perspective ደይቀየር ሰብ ይቕየር እዩ so ንሕና ሓቂ ደሎ situation ጥራሕ ነምፃዮ ኣብቲ ቦታ እቲ ሰብ ከዓ ክቕየር እዩ ክሰርሕ እዩ
I'll move on to the last question. What tips do you have for the Eritrean diaspora to help advocate for Eritreans in Eritrea?
Okay, so tips on how one can get involved. Educate yourself, think critically without the noise of your parents, and raise awareness of what's going on in Eritrea. create a space for dialogue with Eritrean diasporans in your community to figure out how people can unite with one another to help advocate for Eritreans in Eritrea. Join Reclaim Eritrea DC chapter, One Day Sium, or any local organizations advocating for Eritreans through a conscious lens. Help Eritrean refugees in any capacity.
Okay, I'm just going to read this out on loud too. Sign and share the petition asking the U.S. State Department to help evacuate refugees out of Libya. Very important issue that we're currently dealing with. Contact UNHCR and ask them to increase the scale of evacuation to save the lives of incarcerated refugees in Libya. Send a message to the UNHCR's headquarters or email their Libyan field office. We can also send a message to EU demanding that they cancel their deal with Libyan Coast Guard and resume the sea rescue instead. And then listen and share with your friends. Sorry guys, I'm reading this out loud. And this song dedicated to refugees in Libya, written by a former refugee like Sham Habta'ak, whose song's name, Pain from Eritrea, is its greatest way to start a conversation with them about this unseen tragedy. So I guess have that conversation today is the biggest tip here.
Well, call your congressional delegation and ask them to use their unique position of power to support evacuating refugees out of Libya.
Do something visible in your area, like a demonstration, a vigil, or a concert to raise awareness about the plight of refugees in Libya, and invite local media to cover the event. One major action that already drew a lot of attention in the media was the Ride for Justice, a cross-country bike race in Europe organized by the Eritrean diaspora to bring attention to the plight of their brothers and sisters on the other side of the sea.
Okay, two things. One is spread awareness in your communities and social media about the bill HR 5767. This is introduced by Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. She introduced this to defer the removal of 700 Eritrean refugees for a 24-month period, and contact all your members of Congress, especially Republicans, to support this bill because it would bring immediate relief for Eritrean refugees and nationals. And then second is you can make a handwritten note or a card letting refugees know that they are not alone and that you are standing with them. So this is an effort you can be a part of by emailing a photo to andrea@asylumseekers.org, and you can have your message forwarded to a refugee in Libya.
Okay, to the Eritrean diaspora, I leave you all with this quote. You're not to be blind with patriotism that you can't face reality. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it or says it, from Malcolm X. Please give a round of applause for these ladies. They did amazing. Thank you all.
እሞ ቅድም ኣብቲ ፕሮግራምና ኣፀቢቕና ምእታውና ሓንቲ ፌቨር ክትገብሩለይ ሓስቦ ክደልየ ኣለኹሞኒ ኩላትክን ኣብዚ ዘለኹም ንምንታይ ሓንቲ ሶሪ ሳይትሓዘለይ ንምፍላጥ ሓንቲ ኣክቲቪቲ ክንገብር ኢና እሞኒ 10 ደቂቃ ትወስድ ንሳ ከዓኒ ተሲክን ንዘይትፈልጦ ሰብ ቅድሚ ሕጂ ተፋሊጥክን ወደይ ትፈልጣ ሰብ ርኢኹ ወደይ ትፈልጡ ሰብ ሽብክን መን እዩ ካበይ ስቴት ኢኽን መፂኽን ንምንታይ ከንሎም ማዓንቲ ናብዚ ፕሮግራም መፂኽን ካብዚ ፕሮግራም ከ እንታይ ቀሲምክን ክትከዳ ተሓስባ ተሲክን 10 ደቂቃ ንፋለጥና ንሕድና
ናይሎም ማዓንቲ በቃ መግለጽ የብሉን ደቀንስትዮ ጥራይ ደይኮነሲ ኣዴታት ኣሕዋት ብኸመይ ክጅምር ኩልኻ ዓይነት ኤርትራዊት ሎማዓንቲ ምስ ተኣኪብና ኣይዶኖ ከመይ ከረ ክዛረብ ክቕፅል መጀመርያ እተን ተጋደልቲ ናይ ጀብሃ ተሳኣፉ أبو دبات نتفاز نحكم كلهم يفرحون كتسا. واو. كم بعد هناك أنا تقاسي بقطعها. نبوليتيكا خزارة بايدن ليه سمع عيني ليه نخبطن زبون تازنور كو أنا خبطت عن شمونتن يقاوم نيره بندقها وصفو أوش تجدا يكون الدقاون زنور حججن جزيو أخيلو نايلام فارم سبعة مستفو أدها مش شغل عندك أحق يفلهاتكو دك تجارات دك سواعات كتحلو كحرّدو هلو so what am I doing? This is the reason I'm here. So كماي أسكت كنت نبركن كأتسا. فلات ديب زي فلات نتسرعت أبدأ خمان أخمان قرب الله أنا تمجمع رفتنا يوم دقة في نيره أبا ما الله خنيشتي نتسرعت ندقة في زمرنا بزي فلات كا تسعة الله خمسة نبزي تن من نسيات كأبز عبد الزولد كنكا نبحكي زخرة عنا تن 10 من نسيات youngsters that was born here in the U.S. Please stand up. دحنا زلون بقى ناي بحق انا لو ما عند فلي زبلو نحنا مزينا زلنا اتسخات كن جينا كاميرات حسكن بحلفة ناي جبهة كاميرات حسكن ياكل زبلكن نعو خنا اكل نعو نتتجمر كن اوقيا نعو مساحات كن كنا نبينا زي كنا نعحات كن دقيف كنا اب مو على هنا وعلى لومي نحنا دك انسو تسينا يس وي كان كنا كلنا دقنا زنا متستاكل لهن يس وي كان بلا ديكونامي المدينة اللي هي دقنستيونا أبونا حواتنا أسمتنا دقنا كنأكلوينا
نعم نستطيع نعم نستطيع نعم نستطيع